What's going on? Alberta here with Mr. Tom McDonald. Some of you may know who he is, heard of his music, some of you may not have, but he is a Canadian rapper, songwriter, and he's also a former pro wrestler. Pretty fucking cool. He had 3 songs that appeared in the Billboard 100 in 2021, songs like Fake Woke, Brainwashed, and Snowflake. So popular songs that you all may have heard of. Known for his anti-woke, anti-establishment stance, I'm going to talk to him about all of this good stuff. So when did you first notice the impact your outspoken yet controversial lyrics had during the rise of your music popularity?
So I guess like in 2017, I wrote this song called Dear Rappers, which was essentially like an open letter to mainstream hip hop. So at that time, I had been rapping for almost 10 years, probably like 8 or 9 years at that point. And I had just moved from Canada to the United States. I was living in South Central with my girlfriend, Nova, and we were just really we were like in poverty. And it was just like a really tough time. Like I've told the story before, but like we couldn't like afford to like pay our bills and get groceries like in the same month. Like so we were having to pick and choose. Like there was times when we our power would be cut off for like a week, and I'd have to like plug the fridge into an extension cord and like run it out of the house into the neighbor's garage to plug in so we could keep our food. So at that point in time we were kind of like in dire straits. And obviously, like being a hip hop fan, I'm listening to like a lot of mainstream hip hop. And, there's a lot of like, or there was sort of post Drake, there was like this huge movement of um, sort of like woe is me, like hip hop, where like these superstars were sort of complaining about that superstardom. And it just like sort of like rubbed me the wrong way because I was like, kind of like, how dare you be complaining about something that I would like literally give anything to have? Which was the inspiration for this song, Dear Rapper. So I kind of spoke out against mainstream rap and the messages within that. And that was in 2017. And that song got over 1 million views in like 3 days. And that was my first sort of like step into the arena. So then to follow that up, I followed it up with a lot of other sort of uh, socially conscious, politically charged rap songs like Politically Incorrect and White Boy and a bunch of stuff like that. And I pretty much knew like when that first song went and got 1 million views, I was like, oh man, I just literally figured myself out and people are hearing me for the first time. So, and just never looked back. Like here we are 5 years later, and it's just such a wild contrast to where I was back then.
Yeah, I've actually seen I've watched a few of your interviews, and I saw that one of the things that changed you was that you had your habits in the past, like with drinking and things like that, and you had your melting point, and that changed your life. So was that like after all this, like post that time in your life?
Yeah, it was post that time. So I had been like making music for a long time, but not really getting any traction and making a lot of music that was reminiscent of stuff that was already popular because I was like listening to
Yeah.
my favorite artists and emulating that and
Mhm.
talking about the same things they were talking about, partying and girls and drugs and drinking and money and clothes and all that type of stuff. And I didn't know at that point in time that there was an avenue for anything else because that's all I was hearing. That's all I was digesting.
Yeah.
And then I had this like super acute like mental breakdown, just drinking too much and not eating good and not sleeping and just accumulate a lot of things accumulated. And that sort of left me with like this really intense bout with anxiety and depression, something I still deal with. But in that time, it was like it was very intense.
Mhm.
I had to like move back home and stay with my mom and get sober and sort of get my head right. And I didn't make music for almost a year.
Mhm.
Um, I wasn't like talking on the phone. I wasn't seeing my friends. I wasn't doing anything. I was literally like waking up in the morning when I could sleep, sitting on the couch all day, My mom would come home from work. I'd say like 2 words to her and go to bed. And like, I was just wrecked.
Just checked out,
Um,
basically.
yeah, yeah, totally just like gone. And sort of like in that period, you like really get to know a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get to know you get to know yourself real well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then I did a lot of therapy, took a lot of the medications and stuff, um, which I'm not really an advocate for, but I was like, it was do or die at that point. I was doing
Right.
anything that I could to get myself right. So coming out of that, um, I kind of like had to check myself and be like, yo, like, what's important to you? And like,
Like,
what do you want to talk about? And like, what do you care about? What do you talk about with your friends and your family and stuff? Like, what are things that you're actually interested in, and what are messages that like the music for me, like my lifestyle was very reminiscent of the things that I was hearing in the songs. Um, so it was just kind of like, do I want to continue making music that's going to tear people down and maybe have people end up in the same position that I'm in now? Or do I want to go a different route and make music about something else and do something to lift people up and empower people, instead of giving them the tools to aid in their own self-destruction? So coming out of that, I sort of had a new mindset and like a new way I wanted to do things, and new things I wanted to talk about, and I knew who I wanted to talk about it to. And I wasn't exactly sure how to take this flurry of ideas and revelations about myself. I didn't know how to formulate it and put it into a song. And then sort of Dear Rappers was the first time I really figured that out and put it out into the world, and it just like it caught fire.
it's like a rant in a way, right? Like all of the things you just went through, you're releasing all of that energy into your music, and maybe you found, what I'm gathering was that that was your way out. It was like a cycle of pointlessness that you were sick of, and that's what I hear. Like the power in your voice when you talk about things in your music. That's literally all I hear, is like the things that you came out of. So I saw in your interview with Fox News, like I think it was also in 2021,
Mhm.
that you stated that people have become allergic to opinions in North America in the last 5 years. And being that you are a Canadian artist discussing American politics, why do you feel that people are so uncomfortable with what you say? Like as an independent artist, you're still independent, aren't you? So it's
Yeah,
like,
absolutely, 100%.
why do you think you are the one that people like to attack about your opinions on that?
Um, well, there's two things like off top that I can think of. And first of all, like I've lived in America for almost 10 years. So it's not like I'm haven't been in the environment, haven't dealt with the issues myself
Mhm.
and seen the stuff and experienced it. But
Mhm.
on the surface level, people say, "Oh, this Canadian, why is he trying to tell me what my life's like, or why is he trying to give me advice on an environment that he doesn't have any experience in, not knowing that I've been here for so long?" Um, so that's one thing. The other thing is I think coming from the outside gave me a little bit of a unique perspective, because a lot of the things that have been dealt with in the United States, socially speaking, um, it's not like that in Canada. There's a lot of similar issues, but it's not as intense and polarizing as it is here.
Mm.
So I feel like a lot of people out here have been living in the forest for so long that they can't see the trees. And for me to come from the outside, I think gave me a little bit of a fresh perspective on things. And there was a little bit of a culture shock. So it just gave me like a unique place to speak from. And in terms of the criticism I've got and the attention I've got, I think that like um, I've never claimed that everything that I've said in my songs is right. A lot of it is just feelings that I had on a Wednesday, and I might feel completely different about it on a Friday.
Exactly. Like we all do.
Um, right. I'm a
Yeah.
human being, but I think it's important to say those things, especially today, because people are afraid of being crucified by strangers on the internet, and being ridiculed and being embarrassed and being humiliated. They're being scared out of speaking their truth to power, and being scared out of lending their opinion and having their voice be heard in a conversation. So I think a lot of my music causes people to think about things and think and identify things about themselves that maybe somebody hasn't pointed out to them before.
Yeah.
And I think that makes people feel uncomfortable and it
The
scares people a
spiral of
little bit.
silence. Yeah. The
Right.
spiral
Yeah.
of silence is so real. It's so real.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I think that like the music largely today, like on the radio and major labels and stuff, like they're playing and producing music that's you know, very easily digestible. It doesn't inspire any thought. It doesn't inspire any change. It doesn't inspire any self examination. It's just, you know, it's background music for life, which is cool. I'm fine with that. But like, I don't. That's not my purpose. I want people to look at themselves and be like, oh man, I never thought about things that way. Or I disagree with this guy. But even if you disagree with me, if you sat around and thought about the lyric for 15 minutes, um, it's inspiring thought. It's inspiring conversation. It's inspiring discussion. And in my opinion, like I think that's that not to blow smoke up my own ass or say that my music is profound in any way, but I think the mark of great art is that it inspires discussion and conversation and new ways of thinking. And that's what I'm trying to do with my stuff.
Very
So
true. Speaking of your music, you released two new albums in 2022 of November. And they were, are they like your ninth and 10th or
I think
albums?
so.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
so. The last like 5 years have been a bit of a blur.
Yeah. And you also on your website, I noticed that you actually have an 8 album combo that you can purchase. And it's also including those two new albums.
Yeah.
So on these new they both have like 17 songs, by the way, everybody. So you drop them on the same day. Like how and why did that happen?
Um, so a couple years ago, I started doing uh, two albums at once. I was doing an album and a mixtape, and I would release them both on the same day.
Mm,
And it was just sort of naturally happening that way because I sit in the studio all day making music, and you know, a lot of times I end up with way more music than it's going to fit on one project. And I feel like in order to sort of paint the entire picture that I was trying to paint, it's like I can't leave anything behind. So I ended up doing, I was sort of just naturally coming up with like so much music and having to have two albums to fit all that. And that happened for a couple years in a row. I was just making so much and wanting to release it all. And then this past year with these last two albums, I went through like this super difficult time about mid-year. I think it's been a crazy time for planet Earth for like the last 3 years, and
yeah.
it just like started taking a toll on me. And I got to this point where like I work so much. I work like 16 to 18 hours every day. Like we're totally independent. I produce all the beats. I write all the songs. My girlfriend shoots the videos, edits the videos. We design the t-shirts, distribute the music, do the marketing, like everything ourselves. So I'm working like ungodly hours, and it gets to
DIY
like
as
a
fuck.
yeah, DIY as fuck.
Yeah.
So I get to this point where I'm just like super burnt out and super overwhelmed. And I'm like almost one album finished. And everybody around me saying, like, dude, like you're burnt, dude. Like you're like running yourself into the ground at this point. Just do the one album. Nobody's gonna be mad at you for not doing two albums. Just do the one. And I appreciated that sentiment, but at the same time, I was like, yo, like I literally like planned to do two and then to back out at one because I like mentally am so fatigued that I like can't handle this anymore. Like I'll never be able to live with myself
That would
if I
haunt you.
plan to. Yeah, it would haunt me for the rest of my life. Like
Yeah, I can
so
tell.
yeah, so I'm like, if I plan to do two and I'm not doing two, I might as well just quit at this point because that
Yeah.
means that I'm not as good as I was last year. I'm not as strong as I was last year. I don't have the same grit that so I just pushed through
Mhm.
this wall that was just like, honestly, like I almost was just threw my hands up at the whole thing and I was like, I just fucking can't. I just can't
Just
fucking do it
close your
anymore.
eyes and submit. You're done. Just-
Yeah. So
um,
I pushed through that and then I got the two albums done um and I will probably never do two albums at once ever again.
that sounds like a lot, dude. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God, like I can imagine you just like taking a break, like, all right, let's
Yeah.
go. Would you say that your songs, I'm talking about all of them, would you say that your songs are more of a call to action or a way to remind others to maintain individuality and free thinking?
Yeah, I don't know if it's you know, I don't really feel comfortable with giving people like a call to action because it seems like people on the internet are like very they expect a lot of me sometimes. Like they expect um
Mm.
things like when the Ukraine thing happened, everybody wants, I'm getting blown up every day with hundreds of messages like, what are your thoughts on Ukraine? You haven't said anything about Ukraine yet. Like say something
Wow.
about Ukraine because I'm known as that guy who like speaks on these issues like sort of like freely. And it's just like, yo, like it's sort of embarrassing to say, but like prior to this whole like war, like I couldn't have pointed I wouldn't have known where to point out Ukraine on a map.
Right.
So like I'm not qualified to
You're
just
not
be
a
like giving it.
politician.
Yeah, I'm not qualified to be giving you these opinions on things that like I don't even fully understand. So I would never want to like put somebody in a position where I'm like giving them a call to action and they're like, "Oh my God, I feel like I'm under some sort of pressure to do something and I'm not familiar with it or I'm not comfortable doing it." So I think like the whole point of the music to me is just like um it's kind of like you said, it's just like be yourself. And if that's sharing your opinion online because it's something that you believe in, even if it's unpopular, do that. And if you don't want to share your opinion because you don't know enough about it, then don't do that. But the way that this whole thing has been structured now, it's so hyper polarized that you're either left or you're right. And that's it. You're red or blue, you're black or white, you're straight or gay, that's it. There's nothing in between. And my whole thing is just like, yo, dude, like you can take ideas from wherever you want and you can create your own set of what you believe is moral and what you believe is right and what you believe is good.
I agree.
Um, and you don't have to walk around wearing a name tag that I voted for this guy or I'm standing with these folks. Like that's fine. If you want to do that, fine. But to me, it just seems like it's just playing into this like game of division that like, I'm not willing to play that game.
Yeah, I feel for you. Like, I actually just see so many people just commenting all willy-nilly about like your music and assuming that you are taking a stance against some things. And I don't, people just love someone to hate, like a villain, create a villain. And unfortunately, I'm just kidding. There he is, guys. Get him. So you consider your like self more of a free thinker than a conservative, right?
Absolutely.
So people are still persistent on labeling you as this or that, whatever like keyword or phrase that you say, they're like, oh, you know what I mean? And it's just like, e- even I know, like not to take everything so literally, especially when this person isn't running for a president. This person isn't, you know what I mean? So now, obviously, you or no one for that matter, as an artist, has any obligation to explain yourself to anyone or to the public if you're not like insulting or hurting anyone. So like how would you break down your writing process, like the lyrics that you write to your fans and ultimately non-fans? Because I've seen also comments of people just saying that you take things from the dark web and you or the internet in general and you take them and you put them as a song. Like, can you publicly say something about that? Because
I
I
mean,
would like to
I'm
know.
sure. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm digesting the same news feeds that everybody else is digesting.
Yeah.
And like some people take what they read on the internet and make a meme out of it, or some people run and talk to five of their friends about it, or some people are too scared to talk about it at all. And to me, like I digest a lot of stuff on the internet. Like my career is like as a musician, as any musician, like um all of
Sure.
our career, like the internet is absolutely integral in all of our careers. So I spent a lot of time online, like I said, like you said, DIY as fuck. And like a big part of that is social media, unfortunately, and the internet and stuff like that. So I'm out here digesting the same shit as everybody else. And I don't go make a meme out of it, but I definitely go talk to my friends about it and have
Mhm.
conversations with my friends and family about like, hey, I saw this the other day. Like, what do you think about that? Or just we have conversations, and those conversations inspire new ideas and new perspectives and new ways of looking at things. And, you know, I take those and that's what I write my music on the world around me. Like I watch TV, I'm on the internet, I read magazines, I'm taking the same information as everybody else. I think just the way that I decide to digest it and put it back out into the world is just different than the way other people do it.
We have Nova Rockafeller with us right now. The one
we
and
never
only.
do these things together.
No, we don't.
I can't
This is
believe
weird.
no one's ever interviewed y'all together.
They've asked, but I'm very shy and I hate my words living forever somewhere. So I turned down like pretty much everything.
You too. I would like to talk about the band that y'all formed. Is that still happening? Is it GFBF?
It's secretly still happening somewhere.
Whoops. I'll just edit that out. I don't have to talk
That's
about
okay.
it if you don't.
No, that's okay.
Do you want to talk about it or skip over
Sure.
it? Yeah. So tell me about your band, a little bit about your sound, actually.
Okay, so I was fresh out of a label deal and I was feeling like I didn't want to make music by myself anymore. And I was feeling like I couldn't like sit down to do it. And every single time I sit down to make music, it was like resulting in like a 3-day crushing depression. Like no matter how good what I made was, it felt bad because I was just living in the echo chamber of everything that the major labels had said to me, like, oh, this isn't radio, oh, this isn't like good enough, you should sing more, you should sound more like Kesha, was one of the notes that I got. So I was constantly just like in the feedback loop that I wasn't even a part of, and it was just like it was breaking me down. Like it's horrible to like lose the one thing that you love, which is like your relationship with music. And Tom and I had been friends for like 12 years. And we had always just had this like bond where like I remember like the first time I looked in his eyes, there are not people that you remember the first time you like looked in their eyes, and that sounds so corny.
You are so corny.
It's not corny. I thought about my husband as she was talking. Continue.
But we've always just had this bond, and you know, he transplanted out to LA, and I had also been in LA, and he was one of the people who just felt like home. And I was like, hey, will you please come make some music with me? Please. We don't have to put it out. We can just like make drum sounds by knocking on shit in my bedroom.
Just jamming.
We can. Yeah, let's just try.
In that place where we plugged our fridge into the extension cord.
That would be eventually.
I love that story. I know that's a bad story for you guys probably, but I love that. You came out of something like that. And then
it was crazy.
What would you say your sound would be like?
It was heavily like at the time, because this was six years ago. At the time, it was heavily, I want to say, synth pop, alt rocky influence.
Yeah, I'd never heard anything like really like it. And we did some punk records and like
some super pop records.
I think the whole thing about it is that like I had been making very formulaic, cliche hip hop for like the longest time. And Nova had been on her record label, or the record label, making like a lot of pop songs. So like the first time that like we came together, it was like, yo, there's like no fucking rules here. Like we can do whatever we want. There's nobody giving us notes and telling us to change anything. I don't have to turn on auto-tune and sing about promethazine. Like we can like we can do whatever we want here. So it was like a styles clash. It was just a huge mashup of genres.
And another thing for me was that like I'm someone who struggles with like mental health. I'm constantly fighting for my happiness like every single day. And going into these sessions, going into these sessions, I'd show up and these like massive songwriters, I'd be like looking at all these gold records and like Grammys and like working with people who work like Britney Spears, like big industry producers and writers. And they'd be like, what do you want to write about today? And I'd be like, well, I'm super depressed. Let's write about that. And this is before that was like acceptable. It's only 6 years ago, but like the way music has changed where now we can talk about anxiety. We couldn't talk about anxiety and depression 6 years ago. They're like, how about a party song? And just like showing up and being able to like with Tom actually just be like, I'm sad. Can we just write about being sad? Or like even like
I was like, fuck yeah, we can do that.
Even the happy songs.
Conformist assholes.
And like the lyrics on the happy songs had like reality in them. you know, which was like,
Yeah.
you know, things still aren't perfect. Like it was so refreshing to just be able to be honest instead of having to just shine it up and like point like the best side at everyone. It was really
So y'all are like a
healing.
mashup of all of that stuff. For those of you that do not know Nova Rockafeller as well, she's also a Canadian rapper and singer, songwriter, all of the above. But not only that, she's the one behind the camera for, was it all of Tom McDonald's videos since 2017?
Yeah, pretty much every single one of them. Yeah.
I need to personally compliment how well of a job that you do. I'm like, that's honestly, I feel like what keeps people engaged with his videos. I mean, obviously, like, are you also the one that comes up with like the concepts and things like that? Because you
Sometimes
direct it.
yeah, we work so closely together. You know, it's hard to even like go back and look at a video and be like, oh, this part was my idea and this part was your idea.
It's a pretty collaborative effort, like a lot of the time, because we make like, well, Nova makes mood boards and we come up with color palettes and have different ideas and stuff. A lot of the time, like Nova just has like an eye for the camera. So like a lot of the time Nova will come up with an idea and I'm just like, no, I don't like that. I don't get it. I don't see it. And she's like, just trust me, like this is definitely like what we got to do. And I usually go into those portions of the shoot like pretty unhappy because I don't have any idea. Like I have no foresight and I'm just like miserable. I'm like, this is gonna suck ass.
Yeah.
And then she's like, she'll like take the shot or whatever and be like, do you want to come see it? And then I'll like go look at the monitor and I'm like, what the fuck? This is incredible. Yeah. Like, how did you know it was gonna look like that? So I've pretty much just at this point learned to just like shut my mouth and just you know, take my
Good
orders.
Boy. I'm just kidding.
So like sometimes he'll get so frustrated because he's trying to explain to me his idea and I can't execute it unless I can like picture it in my head. So it's hard working together because we can't live in each other's brains, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you can finish each other's creativity. That's like literally, y'all are like a dynamic duo. Like I told Tom, y'all remind me of like my husband and I. And y'all should come play at my fucking house venue.
Absolutely.
GFBF. I'm just kidding.
I'm so down.
Seriously though. So aside from being a director of the music videos, I saw that you also have the Toys and Chains jewelry line.
Oh yeah. I used to do that. That was basically how I paid rent for like the first 5 years of my life. I would just go to dollar stores and buy toys and like scour for all the best toys and make jewelry. It ended up in like magazines and stuff.
That's so cool.
So crazy. No, I mostly do clothes. I love like designing clothes.
So the clothing is the Hangover Gang line. So that's what you design?
Well,
yeah, that too, some of it.
I design a lot of it. Nova designs a lot of it. My sister that we've just recently brought on board to do customer service and help ship albums and stuff. She does some design work. So again, like the clothing is like super collaborative. Nova has her own like.
My store's bananas. It's like an acid trip, honestly.
Nice. I love that. Good old acid trip. I'm just kidding, Mom. Just kidding, Mom. So yeah, what exactly prompts the production and structure of like how the music videos will go? Is it, oh, let's listen to this song. Oh, this will be great for that kind of song. Or is it just whatever comes to mind?
Usually like, while I'm recording the album, I'll like be pulling songs like as I'm going through and being like, this one's good for a video, this one's good for a video, this one's good for a video.
Okay.
And then I usually just sit down with Nova and we just do like a listening session where we'll just like listen to the song for like an hour and we'll just both like write down ideas and say like, oh, like come up with the color palette, like, oh, this like these two colors would work really nice together and you could wear this. And as long as the environment looks like this, like it's just like a slow build. Sometimes it comes like right away, like
sometimes it's a struggle.
Yeah.
The sheeple video is crazy. I really enjoyed that one.
I was just gonna say that came together like that. And literally that was like the second Nova heard it, she was like, it's got to be, what did you say? Because it didn't start as robots, it started as something
featureless
people or something.
I had just done a painting or drawing where I did a bunch of white skeletons, and they're just like super whatever, with one that stood out and was black and red. And that the second I heard sheeple, I was like, oh my God, you are like the glitch in the matrix in this. This is perfect.
That's
and then
cool.
like the eye in the sky, Tom did not see it, you know, and that was really tough because I'm saying, listen, we have to get special effects on this and go to this really expensive place, and like I see it and I see that it can be good, but it's going to be really expensive, and you have to trust me. And he did not want to trust me.
I've never really done like
Lesson
that level
learned.
of special. Yeah. I've never really done that level of like special effects before either. So like that big room that I'm standing in with all the robots, like we shot that in my living room, like on a green screen. I was just like standing in front of a green screen, and I felt
white screen.
White screen, and I just felt like a fucking idiot, you know.
And I'm like standing on top of a ladder, and we have a ladder on top of.
She's like, there's gonna be robots at your left and right, so like look to your left and like acknowledge the robot. And I like look to my left, and there's like my dog sitting on the other side of the living room, and I was like, yo, this feels fucked.
And like this stuff on his face, we didn't know what we were gonna do. We just got all of the supplies. We're like, hey, tubes. Like we got like
that scene where
that was
eyes
cool.
are white. My sister went to like my sister found like a medical wholesale supply stuff like in an alley somewhere downtown, and then like went in and was like, I need a couple bags of saline, and I need like all these tubes, and like and the guy brought out like all of this, like the tubes were for a vet and the bags of saline were for a vet, and he just like sold her this box of shit for like $150. And then she comes over to the house, and Nova and her stuck the tubes in my nose and taped them to my face and put the little electrodes on my forehead and stuff.
That is a really cool story. Just like, I got this from an alley. No big deal. I learned, Nova, that you've also had your hand in co-writing some of his hooks and some of his songs as well. Yeah. So like, how does this part of the writing, like, how is this part curated? Like, does he ask you, or do you just say, hey, like, I think this would be.
Well, I think by the time he gets to the hook, he does the hook last. So he'll write the verses, sometimes make the beat after. And this is like a 3-day process. So I think by the time it gets to the hook, he's just like looking for someone to lift a little weight off of it.
Okay.
Because he doesn't start a new song until he's finished another song. So some of these songs can take 3 days to a week, depending on how many times he wants to remake the beat, rewrite the verses, change the entire vibe of the song. Like he's actually a perfectionist. So I think he just really wants someone to like lift the weight up and bring like new energy into the room. I don't think he needs me to write hooks. He wrote Ghost without me entirely. I think it's just like when he's doing everything himself, it's just like easy to have me come in and help.
Yeah, by the time I've like recorded my verses and I'm at the stage where I need a hook, like I've literally heard the beat like at least 500 times. At least.
For me, it's like fun and new, and I come in and I have all these different new melodies and like all these different new cadences.
Yeah.
And I also have like 4 years of writing songs that were supposed to end up on radio under my belt. So I have really good inclinations for like pop melodies and stuff like that. And I have a rap background, so it's like easy for me to do like, oh, you want a 2001 rap song? Easy.
Well, you're 2000 and late. Okay. So with the Ghost video, you're in it. So who's behind the camera mostly?
I have a really good tripod.
Yeah. We literally just put the thing on a tripod and that was it.
That's really cool. So like what was the monitoring like for that then?
We just had to guess.
There wasn't really.
The monitor was like so tiny, and it's just on the camera, and I can flip it to us, but we can basically just tell if we're in frame, and that's it. And
couldn't even tell if we're in focus.
Yeah, and you can't look at it the whole time. Tom always gives me crap because it's my inclination to look at the monitor. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what I do when videos are being shot, and he always gives me crap about it. So we just had to do crazy things for like. Probably 3 hours.
Yeah.
We probably
my folks were here. My folks were here standing in the kitchen watching us do it the whole time. And it's like it was an experience.
I feel like they like understood a new part of me after that.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Because so I got like so many messages from like in tags from people like tagging Tom's Instagram account to interview you and talk to you. Oh, play him on the radio, like do all this stuff. And then like a few weeks later, I get messages, oh, you're playing Tom McDonald on the radio. What was that like for you to find out that you were being played in Houston?
I mean, the whole thing was just honestly like kind of mind blowing because I had been saying to like Nova, like, I was like, look, like, I love rapping. I love rap music. I love hip hop. I'm never going to stop it. Like, that's like in my soul. But I also felt like I have like so much more to offer people in terms of like my music than just like rapping about stuff. Like, I want to like sing some songs and I want to do like some different stuff. And like, um, I need to do that. Like as an artist at this point, like I need to do that, or I'm gonna start resenting the fact that like all I can do is rap, rap, rap. So
Yeah.
I did Ghost, and then Nova came into the studio the day I wrote it, and she was like, "Oh my God, like this could go on the radio." And I was like, ah, "Get out of here! Like I don't like the radio. I don't want to do
Right
it."
away, I was like, let me just call some people, see like who we still know from the music industry who knows how to do radio. And I really, really wanted it. I was like, frick.
So then like, you know, I was like, okay, whatever, just run with it. Let's see what's going on. We dropped it 2 days before Christmas. Like I didn't expect anything from this at all. I thought it was going to be largely missed because of the holidays. And like a week later and 4 million views later, I started getting like messages from fans, and they're like, I just heard your song play in Houston, and I just heard your song play in Connecticut, and I heard it in Ohio, and I heard it in Canada. And yo, here's a video of me standing in Walmart shopping and your song's playing on Walmart radio. Like,
That's cool.
and I was yeah, and I was like, what is going on? Like, it still feels a little surreal, honestly. Like a year ago, I was like the controversial rapper guy on Fox News, and now like I have a #1 in pop and the song's on radio. Like it doesn't even feel like real.
Let's just put slash singer now.
Yeah.
I also feel like the people just like they honestly feel like family. Like
yeah,
and they want to see us win because they know like what we've been through, and they've like seen so much of it. They've seen a lot of like ups and downs just in the last like 4 years and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I feel like I owe a lot of people hugs when we go ahead because like they're doing it, they're seeing it get played on the radio, and then they're like taking it upon themselves to be like, yeah, I want to see it on my radio station.
Nova, what is it really like to be just like a triple threat? Like what is it? So what is it like to be so productive in your own work? Like you do your own music, you do your own line, and being helpful at the same time with Tom's music in his career?
I would flip it. I would say like, what's it like to help Tom 12 hours a day every day and then still save 3 hours a day for me? Okay. It's exhausting. Honestly, we've done so much with just the two of us, and we've gotten so good at it, just being the two of us, that like we can't just hand over the keys to someone who's not gonna care even a fraction as much as I care. So like when it comes to editing, that's something that can take 3 days to 7 days on a video. Someone else could technically do it, but are they gonna like hawk every single piece of footage and make sure that it's as good as the video can possibly be, and like care to like that extent?
There's like a lot of different ways that like those things can go down, and like some Nova's constantly like, hey, come here, like look at this, like what do you think about this, like should it go like this, or should it go like this other way, or we could completely go this other direction, there's like this third kind of way that we could edit this video. And like most people don't think like that. They're just like, who gives a shit? This kid just gave us a bunch of footage and $1,500, and I'm gonna do whatever I do and send it back to him.
Right, the heart's not bad.
So like Nova said, like
I think it needs the heart.
I'm working literally like 16 hours a day, and Nova's putting in like, if not 16 hours with me, she's putting in 12 and then doing 4 more on her own stuff. So I could only like imagine like.
Yeah, so I try and keep my stuff very casual. Like I love streaming on Twitch. I love streaming on YouTube. I hang out in my Discord. Like I'm very like casually just enjoying my life and the people who like love me in a way that makes me happy and feels like relaxing. And doing all of Tom's stressful stuff.
I don't know if I'd say all of that
Would you
stuff,
give that
but
up?
A lot.
Like, would you, like, if you guys hypothetically did find someone who had the heart to care enough, which is probably not going to happen, but like, if you did, would you be ready to give that up, that responsibility?
I'm banking on his sister. I got
Okay.
her like a really nice camera for Christmas.
Yeah. And we've been teaching her literally
Everything.
Oh.
every aspect of
She's
what we do. And if
she's my best friend, and it's so easy to work with her, and she's like brilliant. There's something in like the McDonald blood or brain or something. Like his great grandfather was like running for office, like just crazy things. You learn things about his like family bloodline, and you're just like, of course that's in your bloodline. And his sister is very much like the same way. She was like she was a nurse, and then when the pandemic hit, you know, she was having a really hard time with it, and we'd call us crying and stuff, and we're like, quit your job, come to LA, like we'll teach you how to do this. And she's like so capable. It's not often that you run into people who are just like extremely capable with everything that they touch, and we're both very much like that because we care. And I think because she's my best friend, Tom's sister, she cares about it the same way that we do. So
yeah.
I'm banking on her that she can like.
but beyond her, fuck no.
Yeah, I mean, keeping it,
family.
yeah, I was just going to say, like, keeping it all in the family is the safest way to make sure the thing that this is like your musical baby. You can't just
Yeah.
give it off to anybody, like you said.
No.
Nobody's going to care as much.
Yeah.
So I already asked you about future plans for the project that you all are working on together, but is there anything that you both would like to share with your fans? Like any thing that you would like to address, anything about Renegade and the Revolution, like any shout outs to people who helped out?
I mean, the people that did all of that are sitting right here, so thank you, babe, for all the help.
So there's no like wardrobe, everything. That's Nova. That's you.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
the two of
incredible,
us.
guys.
So,
You are rightfully
everything.
you are rightfully where you're supposed to be, for sure.
oh, thank you so
Like
much.
good luck and congratulations.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, Alberta. Thank you.
Of course, dude. I mean, that's it then. The main important people are right here talking to me right now. So I'm not going to take up all of your time. So I really appreciate y'all taking the time out to talk to me. And hopefully when I'm in
You're
LA, whenever I can stop by, say hello.
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
coming to your house.
I feel like
GFBF's gonna roll through with guitar amps.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
and-
I feel like we have a lot in common with you and your husband. We
Yeah.
probably get along really well.
Hell yeah. He's got a skullet, so I think you would enjoy that.
Sick. We got the same page on it.
Yeah.
Dope. Dope.
Yeah, I'm calling you out there, bud. So yeah, thank you again, and I will be in touch.
It was a total pleasure. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.